back to the channel. This is 6mm Badger. Hope you guys are good wherever you are. Got a cool one for you today. So this is actually a highlight video from MilSim West Kharkiv collapse. I actually played this event in, I think it was the 18th of February 2022. First ever MilSim event I've properly played. I used to be a Royal Marine cadet when I was a kid, so I know a lot of the kind of MilSim-ish moves and base kind of stuff to be doing, patrols, etc., setting up camp, moving your OP, your operating position, and FOB, forward operating base. So kind of, I've done this kind of stuff before, but actually I've always heard great things about MilSim West. The amount of people that I hear who've gone there, loved their experience, just thought it was awesome, has just meant that it's been on my bucket list for a while. So actually when Team Reaper Actual, the guy is I play a lot with in Southern California around LA, so they have a team going to the event and they had I think 16 guys playing. I was like, can I please join you, because that would be absolutely awesome. So I actually managed to kind of head to the event with my brother-in-law John, and we just had a really, really awesome experience. So I just wanted to run you guys through this, because if you're thinking about going to a MilSim West event, thinking about going to a MilSim event, or you're just kind of thinking, like, what kind of gear and kit am I going to need if I want to go to those events, I'd love this video to be just kind of as much information for you guys as possible. If you have any questions when you're watching the video, you want to know anything about MilSim, about me, about what kits I was running, anything like that, feel free to put a comment below and I'll try and come back to you with a response as soon as I can. Obviously, if you're watching this in the live premiere, then right there, up on the screen, and I'll come back to you as soon as I can as well. But anyway, guys, this event was actually played in Southern California, or Southern-ish California. It was kind of more Central California. It was in an area called Clovis, which is actually a really cool area. I've never been there before, but actually the landscape was awesome. A lot of the stuff that we have in Southern California is flat, desert, very hot kind of ground and landscape, and so obviously the kind of variety that you get isn't that great. It took about 3.5 hours for us to drive from LA to Clovis. It seems like it's a kind of like a wine country. There's a lot of vines, there's a lot of growing of oranges, like not a kind of very dense metropolis, I would say. But we got there, it was really, really cool. The instructions actually from MilSim West were awesome.
What's the top of the hill, guys? Quite a few of them firing down into you.
Set up for each side, so actually you kind of felt like you were bonding with your team before you even started the event. And the two sides in this were NATO and RUS4, so Russian forces. I don't know what the world looks like right now, but literally this weekend when we were playing NATO versus RUS4 is the weekend when it seems Russia has started to invade parts of Ukraine. So I don't know what the world looks like now when you're watching this video, but it was a very weird situation when we were doing the pre-game kind of drills and the talks and the briefings, where they were like, oh, this would never happen, would it? And obviously as soon as I actually got back to LA, I saw the news that it seems like 100,000 Russian troops have moved into
Okay, we need more body aid up there.
Obviously, and if that is incorrect, I apologise that I'm saying this in the video now, but it definitely was a pretty crazy, weird time to be playing this kind of game. But anyway, guys, we pulled up. When you arrive at MilSim West, there's not a huge amount of signs or anything to go, but they send you a tax op, 24 to 48 hours
sounds like they're regrouping at the truck,
so that's
guys.
all of your tactics and operations, goes through all the rules of the event, what it's like to get hit, what are the rules if you get hit, what are the revive rules, what is searching an enemy like, all of those kinds of things.
Keep
so
spread, guys, the tagging comes in here, all.
Definitely read it. Don't think, oh wait, we'll get there and we'll understand what's going on. They definitely did a great job of talking us through the event, what the rules were, what to watch out for, how to behave as well, which I thought was a really big one. But I would definitely say read those rules, because unless they're in your head, you are not going to have an idea of how to act in certain situations. For instance, if you are a player on your team and you're wearing real body armour, i.e. real plates that weigh a lot, you have actually 2 tourniquets you can use. So if you get hit anywhere on the body, gun hits don't count. In open environment, wherever you are in battle, it could be friendly fire, could be enemy fire, you are knocked down. and effectively you need a tourniquet or buddy aid. So you need a buddy, anyone on your team, to come up to you, take either their tourniquet or your tourniquet.
Keep an eye on that left flank, guys. Don't let them push round us.
Or the area of your body that you've been shot. At that point, you are back up and ready to fight, but you still have a tourniquet on. After that, if you get hit again, you require a medic to revive you. So a medic reviving you, there's only a set amount of medics. Each medic, I think, has 5 16-ounce water bottles on average. And so their job is to get that to you. You have to drink the entire 16-ounce water bottle,
not the big tree,
which is about kind of 3/4 of a litre. I think around that kind of level if you're watching in Europe or another area. And so you have to drink that entire thing before you actually are revived. And so that doesn't matter. If you're lying in an open field and you're drinking it and you finish it and you get hit, you're dead again. And so if you're actually a player and you want to go through the pain for 48 hours of carrying an extra 20-30 pounds of armour on you just so that you can have 2 tourniquets, that is an option. You can do that, which actually I thought was really, really cool. It doesn't kind of put these strict boundaries and things onto the actual event. It gives you the ability to kind of, tweak and adjust your gameplay based on what you think is going to be best for your team and to help you win. When you arrive at the event, they actually keep everyone separate. So there's almost like 2 parking areas at this site called Hill 559. So if you do play in the UK, it is very, very similar to kind of like a rolling English countryside. Green hills. We've had quite a bit of rain in central and southern California recently, but beautiful old rock formation. Again, it was like an environment which we don't normally get to play at near Los Angeles, where I now live. So it was amazing. You pull in, it's actually kind of very kind of farmland, almost like free roaming cows everywhere, like beautiful homes, incredible place. Oh, sorry, that's me being a real estate broker coming in there. But there's 2 separate parking areas. We went to the NATO parking area. All the Rus4 or the Russian forces militia kind of went to their area. 2 separate leadership teams, so they're talking you through it. They do a full kit check. So when you have your tax op that you get through, there are a list of red items. You arrive and you don't have those red items, i.e. 2 pairs of socks, you're not allowed out on the field. So definitely read the tax op, make sure you've got everything. There are things where they suggest you bring them, but actually you don't have to. So I would look at that as well. And I would also say, don't overpack, pack light. When you are starting out at this event anyway, I know different MilSim West vary in terms of how they're run, how many factions there are, etc. But for this one, we started off, did the safety briefings, did all of our kit checks. I picked up my night vision goggles, which again is another thing I would say. They're expensive to rent, but if you can afford to rent them, do it, because it is very, very hard to play against enemies who are all using night vision when you can't see anything at night. And actually, hopefully I've got a couple of clips in here where we basically stalked someone who had no idea we were there, and they were as clear as daylight in front of me before taking them out, and it was very satisfying. That sounds awful to say, but it is an amazing aspect of the game, and especially at MilSim West, because I don't think you get many night games, many opportunities to use night vision in Airsoft, and this is one of those, and I understand now why night vision is so important in modern combat. But anyway, you need to carry all of your equipment on you. So that means you're carrying your plate carrier, all of your magazines, your weapon, your primary, your secondary, whatever you're taking with you. But you also really have like a 65 to 85 pound backpack on your back with your bivouac, your tent, your sleeping bag, whatever you're using for that, your water. And so at the start of the game, you're leaving the safety zone and you're taking all of that with you, plus, everything on your person. And I think when we started this event, we walked for a couple of miles. We actually got ambushed in the first half a mile, and I got shot. And unfortunately, it was started at 9 p.m, so I don't have much footage about that. But it was unbelievably cool. You realise just how crazy things get when you're walking in a patrol line, all with 65 to 85 pound backpacks, and suddenly you come under fire. My brain went into a bit of a just a whir, and I didn't drop my rucksack and then go to cover. I just ran to cover and jumped onto my front with a 65 pound backpack on my back, which was not great for my helmet or my night vision. I couldn't really see anything. So I dropped that pretty quickly, but I got shot. And actually, our whole squad got wiped pretty quickly in this early stage. Luckily, we had some medics with us. They managed to get us back up, and we managed to kind of fight off the Rust 4 forces that were ambushing us before we continued our journey to set up our Op 4, which was our kind of forward operating base. So it was kind of an interesting start, but by the time we got to the first place that we were going to set up camp and kind of getting ready, it was pitch black, so you couldn't see anything. Very important you have like a red bulbed headlight, because otherwise you're going to be given away instantly. This isn't, again, a metropolis where there's a lot of background light. It is completely dark everywhere, so even the tiniest bit of phone light, of light from your head torch, whatever it is, white light, it's going to give your entire team away, and they are going to be able to find you very, very quickly. So definitely make sure that you're kind of clued up on that and you're aware. But it was really, really cool. We got there. As soon as we got there, our team leaders turned around to our squad leaders and said, right, these are the times when you guys are going to be on patrol, so you're going to be defending the base effectively, making sure that no one's in. And each squad of 4 or 5 guys had about an hour and a half to 2 hours of watch time before then they could go down to sleep, and watch was taken over by another squad. Again, realistic, but not crazy realistic. That is one thing I would say, which was a really great impression I have of MilSim West, is that they did it in a serious way, i.e. it was realistic. We're going to patrol, we're going to move in these certain ways, but they weren't, it isn't military. You're not in the military, you're not getting paid to do this. This isn't your career. So they weren't being overly, I don't want to say the word, but they weren't being overly over the top on trying to make you do things, because you are there to have fun. It is definitely a MilSim event, but you are playing Airsoft. You're there to get shot. You're there to shoot people. You're there to just have an experience and not actually go into real war. So from my mindset, there were times when we were walking, and as a Royal Marine cadet when I was young, spacing obviously is very important, and kind of, when you stop, you're going into cover, you're getting down on one knee, etc. A lot of that isn't followed, and a lot of the people that are playing are all civilians, never had any military experience, and it was just dealt with. It was great. You're only 3 feet from the person in front of you. This isn't serious. And I do think at the start of the event, they had a really good thing where they kind of talked us through it, and they said, we're all a bunch of losers. You're here to get shot. Do not take things too seriously. If you get shot by friendly, that's what happens in real life too. Put up with it. They even went as far, which I thought was really cool, because it just set the standard for the event, of saying, look guys, this is like a fully dangerous event. Drink tons of water. Not dangerous. This is a fully, it's a physical activity. You'd be drinking water, staying hydrated all the time, making sure that you're in good condition. But if you're running down a hill and you twist your ankle because you're a 45-year-old overweight man, that's what happens. So you are not going to be calling ceasefire and telling everyone to stop and to hold off as you decide to hobble off the field. You sit there, you get shot, and you take it, and you twisted your ankle, and we'll deal with it after the battle's over, or when you're kind of out of it. Obviously, if it is a very serious medical emergency, anything to do with eyesight, anything to do with, loss of consciousness, breaking bones, they were saying, look, call a ceasefire, re-echo it, everyone get down, drop your weapons. But what I really liked is they were like, look, if you twist your ankle, if you feel a little bit sick or whatever, just sit down and take it easy. Don't ruin it for everyone else. Again, really, really well organized. And I just loved how they did it well and seriously, where there were, actual kind of things that you had to do. We were trying to basically take over certain points. We were trying to escort convoys through different areas so that we had enough water and ammunition. I thought that was amazing, because you actually had a goal to achieve. I think a lot of the time when we play Airsoft, you go out onto the field, and you play capture the flag, or you play some of these things, and it's awesome because if you know that site, you know the best routes to run, etc., and you can really get an advantage. With this, it was so unknown. We're going out and we have a truck that needs to pick up water, because water is our medical kits. And if we don't get back with those medical kits tomorrow, we're not going to have any med kits to go into battle with.
One walking away.
So, we had to get it done. So when you're walking along, you don't know if you're going to be ambushed. You don't know if nothing's going to happen. And there were times when we went on patrol where we would be patrolling for 3-4 hours, getting very tired, very sweaty, and very bored, if you're completely honest with it. But that's part of the event. You don't see anyone for 4 hours. And in a way, it's really kind of awesome. At the time you're maybe not enjoying it, but as soon as it's finished and you're over, you're like, wow, actually that's much more realistic, and it's military simulation, MilSim, as opposed to being, just a day playing airsoft, a kind of 9 to 5 on a Sunday. One thing I also think they've done unbelievably well at these events is the limit of ammunition. So when we arrived, they kind of say to you, look, like you're given out ammunition by your team leaders, from your squad leaders, from the platoon leader, and they're going to allocate resources as they would in a normal combat situation. And so we were to start with, you don't have any ammo, you don't bring your own ammo, and you are allocated some ammo. So I think at the start we were given 500, if you were running an assault rifle, like an M4 or something like that, because we were with NATO, you were given 500 BBs. And I think the weight that we got was 0.3. Throughout the weekend, the weights varied between about 0.28 and 0.32. I normally run 0.32s in my rifle, so it was definitely a thing where if I got a new ammo batch and I had it going into my mags, that I would kind of realign my hop up to make sure that it was shooting straight before going out on patrol or into combat. And I definitely say that's something you should do as well. But you kind of think, oh no, I've only got 500 rounds, that's not great. What actually is amazing is if you're a DMR or a sniper, they only give you a couple of hundred. And if you're an LMG or an MMG gunner and you've got a big heavy machine gun, they're going to give you 1,500. So it's almost like it would be much more, they're giving you the ammunition that would be used for that weapon. They're all obviously plastic 6mm balls. But what it really does do is it changes the style of play. I think when I go out and I play on a Sunday, and you may agree with me or disagree, because I know that some people run gas blowback rifles or different capacity magazines, but I bring a lot of ammo and I have a very heavy trigger finger. I think if that was the case and everyone had unlimited ammo at this event, it would kind of ruin it. Because when you're trying to move up, cover, assault, do all those things in open areas, you could just kind of keep people's heads down by just spraying and praying, which is what an LMG or an MMG gunner would do. However, when you've got an assault rifle, you really need to be firing semi-automatic, and you need to be picking and choosing your shots because you don't have much ammunition. And so when we would go out and we were in a kind of 4-hour combat, fighting against these different guys, moving forward, moving back, deploying smoke so that we could keep moving up, it was really interesting because you could actually move so much more because there were so fewer rounds flying through the air that it made it much more realistic to your normal combat where it's 30 round magazines and not your 400 round high cap magazines where you can just kind of hold down the automatic fire. Also, you've only got a certain amount of batteries because you're bringing them with you for 2 days. So you also need to be very conservative on that ammo in that way. And so I really think that was great. You don't control your own ammo. If your team has ammo and they can allocate it out or you're running low, that's great. If not, you've got to put up with it. You've got to deal, you've got to go to your secondary, or you've got to take a position in the squad where you're not firing as much and covering people, or you reallocate that ammo to someone else or get ammo from someone else in your squad so that you can do that. So I thought that was great. And combined with that as well is that when you knocked a player, whether they were calling for buddy aid or a medic, you're able to go up and search the enemy. So a few times, and there's a clip here where I am being searched after they attacked. We just moved our op 4, so we'd moved our base because they'd found it the night before. Unfortunately, we moved it into an area which wasn't quite as advantageous, but as soon as we were setting up and we just moved all our rucksacks, the guys that were on patrol just screamed and said, they're coming over the hill, get ready. So we just had to grab our rifles, grab a couple of magazines, and just hit the deck and start putting fire on them. I got taken out, and actually I got searched by a couple of Rus 4 enemies. And it was kind of, it's awesome. They say to you at the start, obviously, if you don't want to be touched, it's all on you. So when someone comes up and they say, can I search you? You can say yes or no. If you say no and you don't want to be touched, that's absolutely fine. But you obviously have to tell them, hey, this is what you could loot from my body. If you just say, hey, like, yeah, absolutely, you can search me and do whatever, they can look through your pouches, your equipment, everything. If you have any loose ammunition, not in magazines, they can take it. And keep it for themselves and then reallocate it to their team or whatever it is. So you've got to be very careful if you're going out. Don't bring a huge amount of extra ammunition that's loose. And the other side as well is that you could take any intel. So if they had a map on them with things marked where they were, if they had their comms, you know, like actually their radio, their Baofeng radio, and it had the frequencies they're using, you could take those. You could write down anything in their notebook, and you could take pictures of everything. So again, it was a lot more realistic where that person that is kind of you're, you know, knocking down or eliminating and you've captured, they're an asset in the way that you can turn them, you know, you can get ammunition from them, you can get intel from them, you could even kind of capture them if you wanted to. And it was really cool in that way because there are a lot of players, I think, that have played it quite a few times before. And so they were, you know, they knew what they were doing. And that was great to be around because obviously it was my first time. And so when a couple of these guys came up and looted me for the first time, it was just, it was a fun experience. You know, it's like, oh, damn, I've got killed. Damn, this is not good for my team. But actually, it's different and it's fun. Really enjoyed it. So to give you guys just a roundup of kind of what happened throughout the 2 days, as I said, we arrived about 4 o'clock, got everything ready, getting all of our mags together, pouches, you know, everything so you know where it is. And before you go to the event, make sure you know that, run through your kit, unpack it, pack it, so that when you're needing to do it fast, you know where that stuff is. So we got that all ready. They then called us over to a kind of inspection area. They inspected our kit, asked us to pull up and hold up in the air all of these red items. We had to fill out a medical card. So if you have any medical conditions, then you put that in a card and that card goes into your top pocket with any medication. So that if they have a medical emergency, everyone knows where to get to it. Again, great. They then took our weapons and they chronoed them. So you're not firing, you know, over a certain speed, so you're not going to hurt anyone. There is no real minimum engagement distance in this unless you're firing a DMR or a sniper, which I think can go up to about 550 FPS. So in that case, yes, you know, you are supposed to kind of have a minimum engagement distance. But I don't like it when we play airsoft and you've got a pistol and there's someone who's, you know, 10 feet from you and there's a 15 feet minimum engagement and you have to go bang bang. I would rather just shoot them. I'd rather them shoot me and I take the pain, but I completely appreciate that hurts a lot. And there are kids that want to play this and people that don't necessarily want to be hurt or bleeding. So obviously this is a MilSim. They kind of said, look, there's no minimum engagement, but they chronoed everything with their BBs because obviously you're not bringing yours. They have a form where they're filling it out and they're ticking that off. I then went and picked up my night vision. They ran me through the night vision, how to keep it when I'm not using it, how to turn it on, all of those aspects. Because I was playing with Team Reaper, they actually gave me some tips beforehand, and I managed to get an IR flashlight onto my M4 CQBR, which is what I was running for the event, my Tokyo Marui recoil shock. And that was also really cool because you can't see the light unless you're wearing night vision or infrared. And it really lights things up. So, you know, I'd come around a corner or like round the side of a tree and I would just turn on this flashlight and it would blind my opponent almost and would give me the drop for a couple of seconds just to be able to kind of put the rounds in. However, it also gives you away. So it's another one of those things where you're learning this new technology, like, do I like it? Do I not? When do I use it? Really, really interesting. After that, we kind of all got together in squads. We had our team leaders, our squad leaders. You had assigned medics, so everyone was kind of made aware of where they were. And then because we were NATO, we were going to be moving to our kind of base where we were going to set up. So at 9 o'clock, our platoon, I think there were 4 platoons for NATO. Our platoon were escorting a convoy of supplies to the base where we could set up. And so we left at 9. It was already getting very dark, so I put my night vision on straight away. As I said, we had 65-pound packs on us the entire time. So walked, and it was heavy. You know, you're not walking on flat roads. This is up and down hills. We got ambushed. We have to run into cover. You're sweating a lot. It was actually quite a cold weekend
But that did not stop me from fogging up. You know, you're wearing night vision, or you're trying to have your helmet and your backpack on, and you're starting to sweat, and then you start breathing and you put a breath onto your glasses, you can't see anything. And so it was a really cool experience with that. But we left at 9, did a patrol, walked all the way to our kind of first operating base, which I think was about 2 miles. Took us kind of an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. After we were ambushed, unfortunately, I got taken out in that. We managed to get revived by our medics and continued on. We then went and set up this patrol base and kind of our forward operating base. And after that, I think we were the second on watch. So we got kind of an hour of downtime just to set up. And then after that, we were watching for about an hour and a half. So we took up observation points around the edge of the base, and we were using our night vision and communicating over our radios to make sure that we knew exactly where the enemy were, and if we were seeing people coming back in, we would be using a number system and a password system to confirm that they were NATO forces returning to the base and not Rus 4. And you may say, hey, they're wearing different camo, etc. At night you cannot see anything, and so you're like, is that an AK, is that an M4, is that multicam, is it not? And in which case all of those systems need to be in place. Again, they've done this so many times that they've really got this nailed. So if you're playing with some players that have played it before, just ask questions and make sure you're kind of understanding the reasons why they're doing certain things. But we did a little, we were on watch, and actually we had a couple of Rus 4 enemies who tried to break into our base. We then actually did a continued patrol. We took out a couple more that were looking like they were trying to approach our base and get some intel. And then we fell back and regrouped past our watch onto the next squad who took over. We kind of made them aware of all the vantage points, where we'd seen enemies coming, you know, if we'd seen friendlies going out, when we were expecting them to come back, etc. You know, you're not sure when you're going to sleep. And I would say if you're going to one of these events, you expect to sleep like 3 to 6 hours. You know, that's probably going to be what you get, hopefully. Anything more than that is going to be gold if you can get it. So we put our heads down for a couple of hours. It was very cold, so I just had a sleeping bag and a tarpaulin that I just put over the top of myself. Most of the guys did the same. And then we actually woke up about an hour later and we went out for a patrol again, and then took a few guys out. Came back, again, another couple of hours rest as another squad were on watch, and then the sun started to come up, and know how to use your cooking equipment. Took me a little bit of time, and I had to ask a couple of the guys, like, am I doing this right? Because I haven't done it for a long time, and the equipment's got a bit better since I was a cadet. And so using these turbo boils with MREs is awesome, but you definitely need to know how to use them. So you're cooking your meals, you know, your water's there. If your medics have run out of water bottles, they're getting them refilled when they get back to the OPFOR if you have water left over. But that is separate from your drinking water. And you can hopefully refill your drinking water whenever you need to, because you are burning an unbelievable amount of calories. I was actually wearing one of these Garmin tactical watches, which was great because we could put our tactical points onto the watch. And if I got knocked out, killed, whatever it was, I had to go back to do a respawn. I could basically, on my watch, select that location and it would guide me. And then if I came off course, it would buzz me saying you're heading the wrong direction. Obviously works as a compass, but what was incredible is it's like one of these fitness watches where it's tracking your calorie output, etc. I think on the Saturday alone, I burnt around 10,000 calories. Which is kind of crazy. Obviously, I think normally you're, doing, 2,000 calories maybe a day. That's what you're consuming and burning if you're a full-sized adult. But we were up to 10,000 on that, and I was sweating a lot and drinking a lot of water. So just make sure that you're kind of keeping on top of that. It's, I think, very easy with the adrenaline to be like, oh, I'm all fine, and then suddenly it hits you. There were a couple of guys in our team who had to stop and throw up when they were carrying their packs, and so they stopped, they came back, we looked after them, got them back up to where they were going to be, and that was great. Then on the Saturday, we went out and we patrolled. We did constant patrols. We went behind the enemy. We found a really cool flanking position. That's another thing. If you're playing with a group of guys, make sure that you have your operating procedures nailed down, because it's very easy, I think, at one point to just be thinking this is all good, we're fine to be attacking in this way or whatever it is, or if we see a guy we're going to shoot. What you don't realize is if you see one guy, you know, there has to be an agreement. Are we going to take the shot, or are we going to, you know, wait until we think he's seen us, or are we going to avoid shooting him, etc., etc. So I would say we had a couple of moments where we came across an enemy, looked like they'd seen us. We're like, are they friendly? Are they not friendly? Do we take the shot? Do we not? Should we leave them and just continue round so we don't give away our position? And that confusion can cause some, not issues, but it can cause some problems, I would say, just in terms of, you know, are you going to eliminate the enemy in the best possible way? So Saturday was amazing. We were doing patrols. We were going back and forth from the enemy's base, or where we thought the enemy's base was. And then when we got back to our base at about 5 p.m, we were eating, but we then were told by our commanders, we need to move because they know where we are from last night. They put a couple of attacking raids in, and we've got intel from them which pinpoints our base exactly where it's at. So even though we defended the base and we thought it was an incredible location because we just had amazing viewpoints, we realized, okay, we're going to have to move the base. So we packed up everything and started moving. As the sun's going down, I think we traveled about 1.5 miles and we get to our new location. All the squads are setting up in different areas. The first squad's gone out on watch and they're kind of looking out. And I just hear this gunfire. One thing that I love as well, I'm not really kind of a big fan normally of blank gunfire, because to me it's a bit pointless. You know, it's good for training or for realism, but in this it's awesome because there were so many guys that brought their own weapons and their own blanks, and so when you were fighting in some of these environments, you're just hearing this ba 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 ba, and it just makes it feel so much more real than just, you know, occasional flashbangs, airsoft grenades, and like little or, you know, gas blowback rifles maybe making a bit more noise, but it felt really real. We had smokes going off everywhere, and unfortunately just after we'd set up the camp, or as in the middle of setting up the camp, I was just told, right, get to your position now. So I think my bag was open. I managed to grab my rifle, 2 mags and a head cam, I think was all I had, my 360 camera, and I managed to get under a tree, and the Rustful forces just started assaulting, and I don't know what their commanders were telling them, but it seemed like it was a suicide run. So I got a lot of kills, but I got taken out. Got searched by the Russian soldiers, which wasn't ideal. Didn't lose much really, but they definitely went through everything and tried to make sure that they weren't going to miss anything if I had it on me. And then our guys actually luckily managed to push them back. So they managed to push them back. We managed to kind of reset up our camp, get everything secure, but because it was so dark, it was impossible, not impossible, but we decided not to move again. That could have been a big mistake because myself and my brother-in-law both got shot in our sleeping bags. I don't know how these guys got in, but suddenly we just hear this commotion, and I just felt that it hit me in the side, and I was just screaming for buddy aid instantly. That's the kind of thing that you can do. And I would say, if you guys are here now and you want to see what this looks like, I didn't have a night vision camera, but there were guys that had them, and some of the guys on one of our squads went out, and I think they got about 10 kills of guys in their sleeping bags on the enemy, and it's all recorded on night vision. So go and find it because it's really cool. And I'm also looking for a night vision recording camera right now because I want to be able to film night play when I go back out there. And I'm sorry that it's not in this video, but yeah, absolutely loved that kind of experience. Woke up in the morning and we were all actually ended up building a fire because it was so cold. We were like, we need to actually get this fire going. They've already shot us, they know where we are, and we've got our watch out, so we're just going to hype the watch and make sure that we stay warm. And it was great because we're all sitting around, and those moments, you know, where you're just talking about last night and what happened and when you got shot or how you got hit, it's real bonding. And so I loved that. As the sun's coming up, we were kind of just discussing life and also kind of what we were doing at the time. And then we actually went into a final conflict on Sunday, which was, again, awesome. Tons of blanks, tons of grenades. One thing I would say is we were using these tag-in rounds, which are kind of like M203 grenade launcher rounds, which are great, but for some reason I think the batches that they've been producing recently are bad. I know that from talking to other people that have played MilSim West events in the past, they've said it's such an advantage to be able to have a 10-foot kill radius with one of those things that you can launch like 300 feet. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, the batches recently from this company, but they did not seem to be going off. They would hit a target, and for some reason it would just stop and wouldn't go off. And so we were finding unexploded tag-in rounds everywhere, fate rounds I think they were. And so hopefully they sort that out, and when they went off they were awesome, but it was definitely a thing where it's $10 a round you're firing, and it was a big waste of money for us. I think we spent like $400 or $500 on rounds that just didn't go off. But yeah, if you're going to one of these events, guys, I would say save up, do it right, bring some smokes, bring some bangs, know that you're going to spend some money because you're really going to enjoy it. You're going to enjoy it anyway, but definitely do the best that you can, because you're going to enjoy it a lot more if you're taking guys out like that. Another thing I would also say is it's going to get cold and it's going to be a tough experience. Don't go to it thinking it's a fun Sunday playing Airsoft. You're going to get very cold. You're going to be at certain points wanting to just go home and get into a warm bed, etc. And that is part of it. Really get your headspace. This is going to be, you're going to get cold, you're going to get very tired, and this is a challenge to put your body through, because unless you do that, you're not going to really enjoy it. And there was definitely, I think, some guys who just left on Saturday night because it got too cold for them, which obviously, like, each to their own, and I don't know this person's situation, but I definitely think if you are going into it thinking this is going to be miserable at certain points, you're probably going to have a better mindset of the outcome. Anyway, guys, I hope this has been a great little kind of rundown of the event. I had an amazing time. I'm going again. I'm going to try and do some more kind of metropolis, I think, city mixture locations for the next one. So I'm quite excited to try and see what other MilSim West events are coming up. But I'm definitely doing another one. If you guys have any questions, put them below. I think this event was really a draw. We took their base out a couple of times. They took ours out. We raided them. They raided us. It ended on Sunday with just this huge open battle warfare, which again kind of ended in a very even battle. I think they had more people on their platoons than we did. We probably had better equipment, but again, just real shout out to the organizers of this. They've kind of combined a military simulation thing with almost like a theater experience, and it really ticked all my boxes. So guys, I just want to say, if you're thinking about doing it and you've seen my gameplay, you've seen my videos, you know how I like to play, and you're similar, give it a go. I'll leave it with that. George couldn't come. That's the only thing I'm going to complain about. If MilSim West are listening right now, it says on your tax op, do not allow animals. If you could just change that to no animals allowed except for George, I would really appreciate it. Thanks so much, guys. Speak to you soon. Goodbye.